Right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good afternoon. Just picking up from what my colleague Pamela Asigi has said, we as international media do not operate in a bubble. We just operate as colleagues who work here in Kenya in local media. And the issue of climate change is crucial, not just within our environs, but across, seeing the impact that the climate has had on communities, most of which has been adverse. So the reporting has been very sustained, I think, because we have gone from one extreme to another. I remember, like in these 5 Chavavas, there was in beginning of 2020, there was the locust invasion. Then followed by that, there was the extreme drought situations, and which have been reported. I'm glad that today I have an opportunity to sit here and mingle and with some of the scientists and experts that are behind the stories that we tell. Because access to them has been almost very difficult. There's a lot of bureaucracy. When we want to speak to an official, we are told you have to write a letter, you have to make a call. There's too much bureaucracy and red tape sometimes that makes it so difficult for us to get to the other end of the story. So we find ourselves sometimes telling the story in an almost one-sided way. For instance, when we were scratching our heads and thinking of what would be the stories, or what will we be, as journalists, what will we be telling to reflect on the climate, the Africa Climate Summit that was coming up, we got invited to a meeting with the CS for Environment a little bit late. Just like I think a week or a month or a few weeks to when the summit was going to be held. Does that allow us as journalists enough time to package, to put together material or stories that we need to tell? It is not. Please consider us. We are not just working with one platform nowadays because our newsrooms are converged. We have to offer something for TV, we have to offer something for radio, we have to offer something even for print. When we go out there, we have to look for various elements and sources and people to tell the story. Now, those are some of the challenges that we have. Today I talked to somebody who called me from one of the organizations and wanted us to report the story as is of today. And we told them, give us enough time to go to the field, to speak to the case studies, the people that Pam was speaking about, the people that you and I will relate to. Because often, climate change stories, science stories are very complex. We deal with a lot of figures, with a lot of data, with a lot of those technical terms that you need to break down, to crunch to that listener down there who is not elitist as we are, who doesn't have the knowledge that you have. So to break that down, take me to a villager down there, take me to the market where some of these innovations, some of this money that Mr. Peter Odeng is talking about is going to benefit. If you tell me you're going to build maybe villages that are compliant to the environment or to the climate as it is changing, who is going to benefit? Can we get access to these beneficiaries? Once you make it easy and possible for us to access these people, the newsmakers, I think we will be on the same page. And also just bear in mind, we need a lot of heads up, a lot of time to do that. So we will appreciate lots of opportunities for embed with you. Sometimes we will pay for it. My organization will never take a free embed. We will ensure that we take care of our own budget. But those media houses that are still young and upcoming, please support them into telling those stories. Resources are very important. You know what the media is going through at the moment. A lot of cut downs, a lot of restructuring, a lot of redundancies. They also do not have the privilege to even fund their reporters to go out into the grassroots, into the places where the stories should be told from. So please try as much as you can to support journalists to go to those long miles to get the stories to be told. I'm happy as the opportunity that we've got from GSA, the opportunity that we've gotten from the Kenya government through Mr. Odeng, that we are here today. Let's look at collaboration. Let's look at building capacity amongst our journalists. When Pam was speaking, I put myself in a situation where, as she talked how the climate change or climate stories, how the coverage began. It has evolved, but has our knowledge, the capacity been grown? I don't think so. And if any opportunities are made available, it's mostly the reporters. You forget about the editor, who also needs to get a bit of the nuances, a bit of the terminology. And this editor is the same person who is going to green and okay the story. They are dealing with so many other stories and so many other issues that are coming up. It's like sort of like conflict of like, you know, priority. Which is the story that I'm going to give the top line, which is the top story for us today. On a day when the fire in South Africa has happened, the Joburg fire where 64 people have died and so on, and we are talking about the Africa Climate Summit. As a news editor, I'm conflicted. Which will be the top story of the day? Will I give it to Climate Summit or will I give it to the fire in Johannesburg, for instance? So we are like constantly dealing with these sort of dilemmas on a constant day. So let's make climate change stories, can I say, in quotes, sexy, appealing, because some people have given us feedback. Climate change stories are boring. How do we make them interesting? The challenge is up to us as journalists, as editors, to do that, because it is our work anyway. Also, from the other end, can the climate experts, the shapers of this discourse, help us to make it sell? In media, it's all about selling. We are businessmen. I will not give space to something that people will just look at and move on to the next story. I will go for that will bring me audience, that will bring me the shillings, the money. It's all about the money at the end of the day. But then in the long term, I know that the effects of the adverse effects that we're seeing will have a huge impact even on us. So if we don't open our eyes and start smelling the coffee, I think we'll be too late into the game. So let's work together. I know that we have an opportunity. COP28 is not so far off. It's coming up soon in UAE. Can we create that platform? Can we sustain this discussion? How are we going to ensure that after today, after this Africa Climate Summit closes, that we will keep that discussion going? How do we do that? I think the onus is on all of us to ensure that we look for more perspectives, try to get more stories highlighting the voices, the champions of climate change in wherever part of the continent they are, bring them up into the forefront to tell the stories. I also like us to follow the shillings, the cents, smell them. When a donor comes up and says they have committed 70 billion USD to support climate change, can they show us? Can we track that money and know where it is going to, what it is being used to? Can we ask for accountability? Can we make sure that we can come back here and sit here again maybe 1 year later and tell the people who are listening to us, the global citizens, that this is what the money that was offered did. This is how we followed it to the end. I think the challenge is on both sides. I would say that.
Yes, thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. Listening to what you have said,